Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. And I wanted to say special hello to my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys and I'm so glad to have you here. And it's actually making it more fun to make videos because now I know that I'm not doing this only for my own entertainment, but for yours as well. So I really hope you're going to enjoy today's video as well. Today's video is going to be a plant spotlight video, and I'm going to talk about this guy here. This is one of the oldest plants in my collection. I think I got this one 2 years ago. So why I decided to dedicate a separate video for this plant is because common houseplants get so underappreciated and undervalued. And I feel like majority of the people in the plant community appreciate more the rare alocasias and variegated fancy plants. And don't get me wrong, I do love those as well. I love my alocasias. I'm in love with alocasias. Almost in every video I bring this up. But I do love my common houseplants as well. I think they don't get enough credit. And the other thing I want to talk about this plant is because if you're about to get a foxtail fern, or if you already have one and if you're about to repot a foxtail fern, this video is for you because I want to prepare you what you're going to see in the soil once you take this one out of the nursery pot. Since I live in Alberta and my YouTube channel is mainly about how to grow plants in, harsh Canadian environment and Albertan household. Now, obviously, my channel and my videos are for everyone, but since I live here, I can only give you care tips based on these conditions that I experience here. And I have to say, this plant is very drought tolerant, a perfect beginner-friendly plant, and it's suitable for Albertan homes very well. And I'm going to talk about the care needs of this plant, and I don't want to repeat the care tips you can find on the internet yourself, but I would like to share my own personal experience. I think that's sometimes more valuable as well. And as I already referred to, this plant has some interesting root system. When I first saw it, I got spooked a little bit. I was like, what? I thought I found some kind of alien eggs or some kind of weird fungus there. I kind of felt like I was in The Last of Us or something like that. I will be talking about the background of this plant, the natural habitat. I'm actually quite intrigued by different kind of tropical plants, natural habitat. Check out my Instagram page because I post regularly there about different kind of plants that I have in my collection, how they grow in the wild, because it's interesting. So, as I said, I'm going to talk about the background. I'm going to share my own personal experience and care tips with you guys. And then I want to talk about separately about that weird looking root system this plant has and why you need to be careful how you treat this plant. So there's been a construction going on my street for a while now, and I've been wanting to film this video for a couple of days now. So I really hope that you guys can't really hear it or it's not that disturbing because I have all my windows closed, but it's still very noisy. I got this plant pretty much 2 years ago, and as I mentioned it multiple times, I wasn't this particular with my plant care 2 years ago. I didn't even care about plants. It was just like when I went to do my grocery shopping and I found a plant which I liked, I was like, okay, I take it home because why not? And that's what really happened. But You know, recently I do a thorough research about every plant that I have in my collection, because now I don't just want to keep them on a shelf and just here you go, but I want them to thrive, and it can be a challenge. If I haven't mentioned, this little guy is called Foxtail Fern or Asparagus Fern, and I will put the scientific name on the screen. And interesting thing about this one, it's not a true fern, it's actually an asparagus. It's only called fern because the fronds and the overall look of the plant resembles a fern. And this plant is native to South Africa, and it's used to drought, heat, and tough conditions. Climbs on trunks, cover the forest floors, and in South Africa, it's actually considered an invasive species. You can keep it indoors and outdoors as well. However, I don't know about Albertan outdoor conditions because I live in an apartment. But if you guys have this plant and you live in Alberta and you keep it outdoors, let me know in the comments how you keep it. The only thing I did research was if you keep it outdoors, you rather put it on a shaded patio or maybe under the canopy of a larger tree. So point is, it doesn't like direct sunlight, which I can confirm it doesn't like direct sunlight. This plant, I used to keep this plant in 2 different areas within my living room. Right now, she's living a few meters away from my west-facing window, maybe 3 meters away. So it receives moderate, medium light, I believe. And it's growing really, really well for me. It also used to live right next to my west-facing window on top of my fireplace, but it's a very shady, pretty much low light area, and it enjoyed itself there as well. And it also lived close to my south and west facing window. I have to say, I feel like I can't really see any difference when it comes to the pace of its growing. I would say you can keep it in medium and low light as well. I've never tried keeping it in bright indirect light because, as I said, what I saw was it was enjoying itself. It always, pushed out new fronds and stems for me. So yeah, what I love about this plant is actually the color, the vivid green color, and also this fluffy appearance. And I mean, you can get why it's called Foxtail Fern because of the fronds, kind of shaped like a foxtail. And so obviously, if you keep it outdoors, it can get more bushy and fluffier. But I mean, I'm quite satisfied with how it looks. As you can see, it's got some quite long fronds here. And the leaves are tiny, like needle-like. You really need to be careful because sometimes this plant is kind of shedding. So if you have pets or kids, you really need to be careful where you keep this plant and regularly clean up that area because it's really, really difficult to notice this small leaves. But other than that, there is not much to be worried about. When it comes to humidity, as I said, in its natural habitat, it's used to tolerate drought and heat. So it's completely fine in my regular Albertan humidity apartment conditions. Even in winter time, even in the summer, it's not something that concerning, really. As far as temperature goes, the average temperature in my household in winter time is between 18 to 21 Celsius degrees. In the summer, it's anywhere between 22 to 30 degrees Celsius, because in the morning, the temperature tends to drop a little bit, but by late afternoon, early night, it can get really, really hot in my living room and in my entire apartment because of my west-facing windows. But this guy tolerates it. It's completely fine. So I would say it can pretty much go anywhere between 18 to 30 degrees Celsius. The propagation is very easy. Basically, you can propagate it by division or by seeds. Now, I don't know much about the seed kind of propagation, but basically, if you take this plant out of the nursery pot and you just gently try to separate the root system and the plant, like I would go ahead and just try to divide it. Basically, that's how you propagate it. I've never tried it. I'm not really planning to have another plant like this. So, but I mean, if you want to try it, you go ahead and try it. And now we get to the exciting part of this plant, watering. When it comes to watering, that's the easiest but the most difficult part at the same time, because as I said, this plant is drought tolerant and you should never ever overwater it. In fact, during winter, I only water this plant in every 2 or 3 months, and during the summer, it's once a month. Same with fertilizing. I use diluted fertilizer, foliage focus, and I basically fertilize my plant with every watering. And the reason behind this is the root system itself. This plant has an interesting root system. It's called storage roots in everyday language. They call tubers, but they're not tubers in strict botanical terms. But I'm just gonna call it tubers because it's easier. So they act like water and nutrient storage organs. And this is why this plant requires very little watering. It's because they store water in its tubers. So it's basically crucial to let this plant a little bit dry out. The reason I repotted this plant was because, as I mentioned earlier, I noticed that the frond started to yellow and dry a little bit. So when I took it out of the nursery pot, I noticed that these storage organs things started to shrivel and they looked kind of deflated and wilted a little bit. And that's a definite sign of both underwatering and being root bound. So I gave this one a nice big pot. And so basically these tubers are the reason that the plant can go weeks without watering. And when I mentioned propagation, you need to be careful when you decide to propagate the plant by division. Do not cut off any of these tubers because this basically provides energy for the plant. And if you accidentally or intentionally cut off one of these tubers, it can set back the plant very much in its growing. That's why the plant is also very sensitive to over and underwatering. You really need to find that middle ground. But as I said, it's a beginner-friendly plant, so it's very easy to find that middle ground. Signs of a healthy plant is obviously the striking color, and I would say it's during growing season, it's growing quite fast. So I see in every 2 weeks that it's pushing out a new frond or stem, whatever you name it. And also these storage organs are supposed to be firm and juicy. So the other reason for these tubers to look shriveled can be also excess heat and direct sunlight that can dry out the plant very fast and being root bound. So that was the case with my plant. I really hope that this video will help you, even if you find this video after you repotted this plant, but it's better to watch this video before finding these weird looking storage organs in the soil, because I don't know, when it comes to fungus and pests, I get so disgusted so easily by them. So it's definitely the dark side and the downside of this hobby for me, that's for sure. For example, one of my calathea got infested with mealybugs, And even just thinking about mealybugs using the goosebumps, just so disgusting though. So the case was the same with these tubers when I first saw them. I can definitely recommend this plant. As I said, it's very easygoing and it's looking gorgeous. If you happen to meet these tubers, don't throw your plant out. It's not infested with some lethal fungus. A completely normal root system for this plant. So I hope you find this video useful, you enjoy this video. If you want to see more planty content of my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below if you have any stories or different experiences with this plant. Take care, be well, and see you in the next video. Bye!